Welcome to Mrs. Mayo's home art studio. I hope you're all safe and well, and I miss you all so much. This is week 1, so bear with me as we figure this all out together. We're going to begin this week by working on robots. It's going to be robot week. So I discovered this lovely handout on the internet created by the one and only Cassie Stevens, which was our inspiration for this unit this week. So let's begin by talking about what you're going to need. So we're starting real easy, and of course, if you don't have these materials, I 100% understand, and there's no issue with that whatsoever. But the one thing you're going to need is a surface to draw on. It could be the sketchbook. Look at my cute little kid's sketch there, but we're going to use the other side. It could be one of these little notepads that you get in the mail. You could use the line side if you like the color, or the back. You can always recycle. Like most artists, I love recycling, so any sort of recycled surface is fantastic. You could use a paper bag and cut it if you have access to scissors, or you could rip it. I always like a torn edge. It looks creative. And you could use a surface like this. I know all you in South Kingstown, you have a lot of access to paper bags, and it is a great art material. Well, I'm gonna rip it, but that's okay. We'll just, again, my expectation, as my students know, is you're going to make mistakes. I make probably 100 mistakes a day. Maybe not 100, but a lot. I make a lot of mistakes every single day. So I expect you to, and they're important because that's how we learn. So you could certainly create a work of art on this paper bag, whatever you feel would work best for you and whatever you have access to. I'm going to work on a white paper that I tore out of my sketchbook. So again, we're going to work on robots today using paper, obviously, and a pencil if you have access to one, and markers if you have access to markers. If you don't have access to markers, it could just be a pencil drawing in a sketchbook. I know a lot of you prefer that anyway. And I forgot to grab a pencil. Anyway, so we're going to begin by talking about the principles of art. And each week that we're working from home, just like with each one of my art lessons, we're going to focus on certain elements and principles of design. This week, we're going to start at the beginning again, and we're going to talk about line and shape, right? Shapes and line. So they come together to create these fun robots. What are some shapes that we could use to create a robot, you may ask? Shapes. So they are the building blocks of most compositions. The obvious answer is a rectangle, right? We can all think of, I think, a rectangle. What else? A circle. A square, perhaps. No, I don't have my ruler out to make sure all 4 sides are the same. Perhaps a semicircle. Brainstorm some yourself. How about a pentagon? Pentagon, 2, 3. Oh boy. See, another mistake. Mrs. Mayoh made another mistake. Pentagon, 5. Triangle top. There we go, Mayoh. All right. So we've got a nice little shape bank for you there. And now let's think about the other element, which is line. Right, so we know shape line, straight lines that come together to make our shapes. Now let's talk about some, maybe that could be a wire, right? What else? Some electricity coming off of our robot, a dashed line. Okay, so now let's start constructing our robot. I like to begin in pencil because, as I shared with you, I make mistakes. And you can erase sometimes if you have an eraser. If you don't, Bob Ross calls them happy accidents, and I tend to agree because they make you work through the growth mindset piece. So I'm going to begin by thinking about what I'm going to do first, because artists make a plan. It's really important, right? That's why most of our best artists are also engineers and scientists. So my plan is I want to fit the whole robot's body. So I want to begin thinking about that and what shapes I'm going to use to create that body. So it seems like many are rectangles. So I think it's safe to start with the body. And I'm going to start with that rectangle, knowing I'm going to leave space for my head and also the other parts. I'm now going to move on to the neck, and I really like asymmetry, which means when things aren't the same on both sides. So I'm going to make his neck symmetrical, but then I'm going to start to think about how I can offset that with maybe different antennas coming off. Like Medusa? I don't know. I am 100% certain you're going to come up with better ideas than I do. Now let's think about the arms and legs. What is our robot doing? Right? So there I have a wavy line. And now I'm going to give it like Lego hands. Or like, almost looks like an insect, which I really dig. I'm going to make this a she-bot, so I'm going to give her a little fancy skirt. Why not? I like a girl boss. All right. Rectangle legs. I don't know. I guess perhaps a triangle would look nice, but that is not a triangle. What shape? What shape is it, guys? Comment below if you know what shape that is. Bonus points. Talking blue slips, kids. Talking blue slips. All right. Now I have to think about the face. Am I going to give it 2 eyes, 5 eyes? What shape am I going to make those eyes? I'm really not sure yet. I'm thinking as I'm going here. I'm going to go with an oval. So I'm trying to use different eyes. And I always like that cute little kawaii look. Why not? And a nose that's perhaps the semicircle also. And then what for a mouth? I always like a smile, especially. All right. Digging it, guys. I hope you are too. Why not? I like the idea of implied volume by making some curved lines here to the tubing. The tentacle-like form. I almost want to give it more than 2 arms, but I feel like I do so much sea life stuff, perhaps would be best to steer clear. So now I'm going to just come up with a couple of different screens inside, right? My robot. Perhaps this is where she makes your dinner, like a microwave. So I'm going to give her a handle like a microwave. Or maybe this is where she holds treasure. I don't know. Why not? And perhaps this is a dial with information on her power level, or I don't know. Get where I'm going. Use your imagination, guys. It's the best. Now that I've come up with my plan, I'm going to go over my pencil. Notice I did not erase ones with marker. If you have access, could you just leave it like this? Absolutely. And go over it with a pen? That would look fantastic too. But if you have access to markers, that's my plan right now. So purple and yellow are my color choices for today. And we're going to use complementary colors. I know this by looking at my color wheel. Now complementary colors are the colors across from each other on the color wheel. So what that means is next to each other, they really pop in, but when you mix them together, they make brown. Another favorite color of mine. But maybe not your angle for this. So be aware, if they're across from each other on the color wheel, it can potentially make brown. Again, favorite color of mine, but maybe not what you're going for. So I'm gonna start my outlining, and look at that. My marker's running out. One choice, to dip it in a little bit of water, because Crayola markers are water-based It will draw the ink out and make it so it does not going to last forever after you start doing this. However, it'll get me through this demonstration. So now if your markers are oh, and another happy accident, a little drip there. If your markers are water-based, what that means is you can add water. Now if it's a permanent marker like a Sharpie or something of that nature, the water will not work. You would have to use some sort of alcohol, which is not kid appropriate. So, and again, I'm just going over my pencil lines here. You could add more colors. I'm just sticking to 2, mostly for the length of this video, if I'm honest. Now, that is part of the joy of these markers, is we are going to add water, which you guys know, my students know. This is a favorite little trick of Mrs. Mayoh's, is to add the water to the water-based markers because it conveys a feeling of paint, which I love. We've done it a few times throughout the course of the year when we made our dots and our Chris Up Hues hearts. Few different things. And I don't mind the drippy look. It's creative looking. But if that's really gonna bother you, can always, after you finish this one, do another. And I do hope you post these on your home format, whether it's Google Classroom or Seesaw. I would love to see these, and we'll definitely provide you with some feedback. And I really look forward to seeing each and every one of them. Truthfully, I miss you guys. And thinking of you. All right. Now I would probably continue coloring in and other things, but for the sake of time, I am going to, I think you all understand where I'm going with this. Oh, I forgot her legs. And it's a little too wet. Now I'm going to add some of that yellow, and that is going to be the energy radiating off of this little lady. Remember we talked about lime? I encourage you to make some visual emphasis with different lines. This again is something we did with our Chris Up Hues hearts. So if you can think back to our Chris Up Hues hearts we made. Then I'm going to use a couple of different yellows for different types of line variety. And now I'm going to add that water. Now I might make it a little bit, and it's going to be light because I selected yellow, but that was sort of my idea. And I could certainly go over all my purple, which will not be light. And then I could go over and do details with other marker colors when it's dry. And finish up that way. Do not forget to share these with me. I hope you enjoy making your robots. I can't wait to see what you do. Try to shoot for 2 different colors and 4 different shapes throughout your robot. That should be a goal, and that's sort of my expectation and objective with this unit, is to create a robot with 4 different shapes using your imagination. I hope you have fun, guys. Good luck.